Coming up on today's show, we're going to be breaking down where things sit right now with Alabama's current roster. Guys have been hitting the transfer portal. Alabama has gotten multiple transfer portal targets to commit so far. So there's been a lot of moving parts here in the last couple of weeks. We're going to break down how Alabama's roster sits right now. But make sure you guys also go ahead and give me a follow over on Twitter. That's at Chris Chat Sports on Twitter. Post all of our daily content from the channel right here over on Twitter. So do not miss out on that. Got shorts, got my opinions on there. If you guys want to join in with the conversation, I'm sure I'm going to be tweeting my life away on how we do not need 12 teams in the college football playoffs here. You'll get a feel of that once these playoff games just continue to go. So help me out. Make sure you give me a follow over on Twitter. All right, let's start off here with the quarterbacks. There's going to be a lot of guys here, so I'm going to try my best not to ramble because I definitely have a tendency to do that. Jalen Milroe, I got to assume he's going off to the NFL after Alabama's bowl game against Michigan. He's kind of flirted with that with reports from 247 Sports, but we're going to keep some of these guys on here as of right now, the guys that still have eligibility but have to make those decisions. I got to assume Ty Simpson's going to be your starting quarterback next year. I think there will be a competition, a little bit of one, between Austin Mack and Keelon Russell. Those guys are going to be given their opportunities, but I think Ty Simpson is your clear favorite to be the starter for you next season. We've seen some pretty positive things, I think, so far out of Ty Simpson. That completion percentage could be a little bit better, but I think some of that had to do with last year. He had an issue with his fingers. Some of those throws sailed on him last year. Those 3 touchdowns as well, all rushing touchdowns right now for Ty Simpson. Probably should have a 4th touchdown, but he ended up dropping that ball. I think it was like a 79-yard run or something like that. He dropped the ball at the goal line, bonehead mistake. He's going to learn from that, but I definitely think Ty Simpson definitely is the front runner right now to be your starter next season at quarterback. Also, you signed the number 2 player in the 2025 recruiting class in Keelon Russell, the number 1 player out of Texas. If you guys haven't watched this kid's stats, he is absolutely incredible. He's shot up the recruiting boards. Remember, Alabama back during the summertime flipped him from SMU, and there is, some people out there that tried to make fun of the situation, but Keelon Russell definitely showed this season why he is one of the best players in the country. You see his stats right there. Got these from Max Prep, so hope they're as accurate as possible. Sometimes Max Preps isn't, 100% accurate, but what I was able to find on the internet, these pretty much match up to what Keelon Russell did throughout the playoffs. 14 games played here, another state championship for Keelon Russell as well. Over 4,000 passing yards, had 55 passing touchdowns, a couple rushing touchdowns as well. But what I really love from him is his ability to take care of the football. When you got 55 passing touchdowns to only 4 interceptions, that bodes really well for your decision-making and hopefully, how he can translate that to the college football level. Very, very excited about Keelon Russell coming in. And I would not rule him out, totally, completely on becoming the starting quarterback next year. You remember back a couple of years ago, Jalen Milroe was a guy that really shot up the boards and was able to be the starting quarterback for Alabama. What did I say? I meant Jalen Hurts. Did I say Jalen Milroe? I meant Jalen Hurts. That's my bad. Meant Jalen Hurts on that, but still kind of the same thing here. Definitely has an opportunity, not going to rule him out. But for right now, I think Ty Simpson is definitely going to be the guy at that quarterback position next year. So let me know here in the comments at the pinned comment of today's video. Who do you guys think will be the starting quarterback for the Crimson Tide next year? Type T for Ty Simpson, type A for Austin Mack, or if you think Keelon Russell is going to shoot up the boards and be Alabama's starting quarterback next season, go ahead and type A in the comments section right now. Let's go over here to the running back depth chart now. Jam Miller, he's your RB1. There's no ifs, ands, ors, or buts about it. Justice Haynes, it kind of sucks, but, he hit the transfer portal, but I really loved Richard Young as well. More of a bigger body guy, but, still has that playmaking ability. You saw that long run that he had earlier in the season. I think that was against Mercer, I believe. No. That was against, that run was against Missouri. So, Look, your 1-2 punch right there, Jam Miller, Richard Young, got a lot of faith in those guys being able to carry the load for Alabama because, Ty Simpson's going to run the ball a little bit. I think if Ty Simpson is the quarterback for you next season, but I think, it's not going to be over 100 times like Jalen Milroe was this season. Took a lot of reps from those running backs, hence kind of why that decision happened with Justice Haynes hitting the transfer portal. But you also have Daniel Hill. You got Kevin Riley as well. Really excited about those guys in the future. But you also signed the number 2 running back as well in this 2025 recruiting class, A.K. Deer. Very excited for him. He seems all Bama through and through right now. Flipped him earlier in the process from Ole Miss, and he never wavered since. So another top 100 player there, number 2 running back in this class. Alabama is set up pretty well, I think, right now at that running back position. Going over to the wide receivers now that the transfer portal has kind of, settled a little bit here. Now, granted, we're filming this on Christmas Eve, so hopefully nothing else changes. But as of right now, this is what we have. Isaiah Horton was an addition from the transfer portal as well. And look, man, your top 3 wide receivers next year, I think, are probably going to be Germie Bernard, Ryan Williams, Isaiah Horton. And I would not rule out Jalen Hale either. He's going to be coming back from that knee injury he suffered. But, man, isn't it crazy how a number 3 wide receiver on a team, Isaiah Horton, this year at Miami, this year at Miami. He was the number 3 receiver, had 56 receptions, over 600 yards, 5 touchdowns. Isn't it amazing what happens when you can really get your playmakers the ball? Hopefully next season, Alabama can really take advantage of those guys at wide receiver with, a quarterback who is more consistent throwing the football, trying to be nice there to Jalen Milroe, but we all know kind of how this season played out. He was more of a runner than a passer at the end of the day. Let me know here in the comments section again for me. Will Alabama have a 1,000-yard wide receiver in 2025? Ryan Williams almost got there this year as a freshman, 857 yards. But I think if you get a guy in there who, is better throwing the football, I think you got a chance to have 1, maybe even 1,000-yard wide receivers next year. So let me know what you guys think. Get interactive here at the Alabama Football Report. Type Y for yes or N for no. Over to the tight end spot now. I still got C.J. Dupree and Robbie Oots on here because they're going to be playing in the bowl games, but both of those guys are out of eligibility right now, so you're losing those 2 guys. You bring 2 more guys in Edwards and Marshall Pritchett as well, so not too worried about this tight end room, but the one guy that really sticks out to me is Josh Cuevas. You brought him over last year from the transfer portal from Washington, came over with Kalen DeBoer. You remember, we've talked about him a lot. He started off his career at Cal Poly, put up a lot of numbers there. Didn't really put up a lot of numbers at Washington, only had a couple catches, but that average for catch for him at Washington was absolutely ridiculous. I think it was over 20 yards. And he was pretty decent here in his first year at Alabama. I think next year you're going to see more out of that tight end position, some of those pass catching ability. But one big thing as well, you got Danny Lewis Jr. back out of the transfer portal. He's a very good run blocker. Josh Cuevas, also a pretty decent run blocker in his own right. So, look, this on the offensive side of the ball right now, you got a lot of playmakers, and you got a lot of guys that can do different jobs as well. So really also like where Alabama sits in that tight end room right now. Going over to the offensive line now, you got some injured guys up there. Kadyn Proctor will not be playing in the bowl game, going to have surgery on that shoulder that he injured back, the first game of the season, wasn't even able to play in that game because he injured his shoulder during, warm-ups and stuff like that. William Sanders, I got him at that left tackle spot, but it's pure, numbers thing. Wasn't able to fit 3 guys there. He normally plays guard, has played mostly guard this season, but, you got Cam Dewberry there out of the transfer portal as well. I think he's a prime target to replace Tyler Booker because he's definitely going to be going off to the NFL. See what happens with Jaden Roberts. I think he's going to be coming back for another season, but Another guy I'm excited about, Wilkin-Formby as well. We'll see what happens with that right tackle battle. I assume I don't really know what's going to happen quite yet for the bowl game. You got Elijah Pritchett, had played that left tackle spot earlier in the season for Kadyn Proctor. Wilkin-Formby played that right tackle spot. So we're going to kind of see what kind of shifting around happens for that bowl game coming up here in just about a week away now. Whether or not Wilkin-Formby is going to be playing that left tackle spot or Elijah Pritchett will be playing that left tackle spot. Because you remember at the beginning of the season as well, they also had that battle at that right tackle spot. Elijah Pritchett ended up winning it for pretty much the remainder of the season until kind of the end where he got pulled and Wilkin-Formby went back in for Alabama as well. So, like I said, there's been a battle for a lot of the season anyways at that right tackle spot between Elijah Pritchett and Wilkin-Formby. And honestly, guys, I think it's kind of a toss-up. I don't know who's better. I had a lot of negative things to say about Elijah Pritchett towards the end of the season. I wanted Wilkin-Formby to get back in there, which they did put him back in against Auburn, but they kind of still rotated him. So I still think that that's going to be a position that's going to be up in the air next season at right tackle. So who do you guys think is better? Let me know in the comments section. Type EP for Elijah Pritchett or type WF for Wilkin-Formby. We'll continue with the defensive side of the ball here in just a second, but today's show is presented by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. It's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Make your holidays bigger and brighter with Prize Picks. Like I said, it's the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. You can join now because this holiday season, Prize Picks is giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Picksmas. This is what we cooked up here at the Chat Sports offices for this week's slate of games. Went with Rico Dowdle, more than rushing yards there, more than on the Jared Goff passing yards, also went with a more than on Hunter Henry receiving yards. You go with a flex play, or you could go with the power play. The flex play, you can still get one wrong and still come out on top. So download the app today and use promo code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. One more time for you guys, download the Prize Picks app today and use promo code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. You do not even have to win to get the $50 bonus. It is just guaranteed. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's video. It's Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, going over here now to the defensive line. We had a lot of bandits, so I really wanted to fit all these guys on the graphic, so we expanded it a little bit more. Tim Smith, he's going to be out of eligibility. He's going to be off to the NFL draft. Jamarian Latham, everything that I've seen so far seems like he's got an extra year of eligibility, I'm assuming from that COVID year. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that, maybe asterisk that, put it in the back of your mind. But as of right now, think Jamarian Latham has another year, but he also could choose to go off to the NFL draft because you got a lot of guys at that bandit position. We'll see as well what happens with LT Overton. He's really been flying up those draft boards as well. You got Kelby Collins out of the transfer portal as well. So really like what you got at that bandit position. Keelon Keeley, Jordan Renaud also over there. I think Tim Keenan has a decision to make, but I do think kind of where I've seen him in those, draft grades and things like that, I think it would definitely behoove him to come back for another season. Also, really love what you have from James Smith, what he gave you this year. Steve Mbamua and London Simmons also are coming in from that 2025 recruiting class as well. Going over to the linebacker spot now, and this one's going to be interesting, I think, because you have 2 guys, Justin Jefferson and Cavante Henry, that could be affected, and given another year of eligibility. I think Jahad Campbell definitely going to go off to the NFL draft. You got Nakai Hill-Green out of the transfer portal from Colorado. Had a very good season, was second team All Big 12 as well. Quay Russaw went crazy for you. One guy that is out of eligibility, though, is Quandarius Robinson. He is also out for the season, so you're not going to be seeing him in that bowl game. But, man, look, right now, Alabama probably, I assume, is probably going to go light in that 2026 recruiting class at linebacker because, man, right now, you got a lot of guys, and I think you got a lot of guys as well with a lot of upside. Deontay Lawson, he was injured during the season as well. He's got a decision to make as well, whether or not to go off to the NFL draft, but he can come back. I think a lot of that has to do whether or not, he was injured enough to where he falls really far in the NFL draft. I think that's going to be a very key deciding factor. Jeremiah Alexander as well. Can't wait to see him. But like I said, Justin Jefferson and Cavante Henry, two guys that could be affected by the Diego Pavia versus the NCAA case. And there was news yesterday. The NCAA decided that they were going to appeal that case. But for right now, they have granted waivers to prevent athletes who attended and completed non-NCAA, a.k.a. JUCO schools, for 1 or more years to remain eligible and compete in the 2025 to 2026 season if those athletes would have otherwise used their final season of competition during the 2024-2025 academic season. So basically what that means is they are granting a waiver for any of those players who started off 1 or 2 years at JUCO. Obviously, Justin Jefferson was one of the top players out of JUCO a couple years ago, and then Cavante Henry, he actually started out at Oklahoma, then went the JUCO route, and then now is transferring to Alabama. So see what kind of how it affects him. But as of right now, Justin Jefferson really the main guy that could affect. But also he might even go off to the NFL draft as well. So we're just gonna have to see on that front. Now over to the DBs. We are almost done here now. There's been a lot of wild stuff. Jalen Mbakwe into the transfer portal, out of the transfer portal. Don't know if he actually officially went into the transfer portal or not, but either way, he is back for Alabama. Wants to play offense, wants to play defense. We'll see what happens with Damani Jackson. I think he's got a chance to go in the NFL draft, but I do think also getting in Cam Calhoun from Utah out of the transfer portal, at that cornerback position, that might, tell us that Alabama already knows the decision there for Damani Jackson, but who knows? Anything could happen. Zay Mincy also has been playing a lot of that safety spot, started off as a cornerback, but I'm very excited to see Red Morgan next year just grow and develop as a player. Malachi Moore as well. He's not going to be playing in the bowl game. He is also out of eligibility, so he's going to be going off to the NFL draft this season. Really sucks that Iron Bowl was the last game for Malachi Moore, but as always, we appreciate what he did for Alabama. And really was, he's one of those guys that really does bleed, crimson and white. So, Bray Hubbard, really liked what I saw from him on the back half of this season. Keon Sabb, I assume he's probably going to be a starter at that safety spot along with Bray Hubbard next year. So, kind of like, the rest of those position groups, I really like what you have at the defensive back position as well. So like I said, we have to wait and see probably until after the bowl game to really get an announcement for Damani Jackson. But if he does go off to the NFL draft here, where do you think he will get drafted? What round do you think Damani Jackson gets drafted if he chooses to go off to the 2025 NFL draft? Let me know in the comments section right now. All right, lastly here, we have 2 special teams players on scholarship, but 2 more players that I wanted to note as well. Connor Talty, he is going to be your kicker next season. Graham Nicholson, obviously, is out of eligibility. He's been in college for like 10 years now, it kind of seems like. But he transferred to Alabama from Miami of Ohio last year. But seems like Connor Talty needed that extra season. Saw what he did on kickoffs. Has a very powerful leg. So hopefully, cross our fingers, Alabama's going to have a solid field goal kicker next year. Alabama also signed Alex Asparuoff in that 2025 class. He is a scholarship punter, but I would not rule out Blake Bowd, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, as somebody who can compete for that starting punter job. He's a preferred walk-on, transferred to Alabama out of those JUCO ranks, but I would not rule him out to be a possible starter. His long was, it was 80 yards is what they put in the stat box, but really he kicked it from the 5 and it downed at the opposite one. So another guy that has a absolute massive leg on him. We'll see what happens with that punter battle next year. Also, you got a preferred walk-on long snapper in David Bird as well.